your portrait from a mirror, okay? Like I mentioned when we were just learning how to do the basic proportions of a face, we are going to start off with like an oval circle. Usually I go with a circle first, and I'm not committed to the size of this, right? I'm not committed to this. Like, this will change. So here I have a circle, and then from this circle, it's lightly drawn too. I'm going to make this more into an oval. Eventually I will shape it more so that it becomes a little bit more my own likeness. All right, the first step was the oval. Now I'm going to, for symmetrical reasons, divide my face in half. So that I have one half of the face and the other half of the face. After I have my line, my little plumb line, I am going to find the middle of it. All right here. And I'm going to draw another line. Once I have my face kind of divided in two, the first thing that, like the first facial feature I always like to kind of map out are the eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and just plop down some circles. Remember, the head is 5 eyes wide, right? Like, you can fit the length of 5 eyes across. So once I have the orbs that are my eyes, I'm going to start to shape them so they look a little bit more like my own actual eyes. And check that measurement. They're actually pretty evenly spaced. And then let me get the side. I should add over here. Not that wide, like that wide, I think. So I'm going to have to widen my head. I know it looks really wide right now, but eventually when I start to add the hair and the ears and all that other stuff, it won't look so wide. Eventually I'll erase all these other lines that I don't need, but for right now they're fine. Okay, so now that I have my eyes laid out, I can kind of go with, my face is really relaxed right now. I'm gonna go with how big my iris is. Remember, they're not perfect circles inside of the head. You can always see, like, you can't always see there's like the very top of it maybe. and then I can detail those eyes more later. The next step I can do is start adding my, maybe erase a little bit of that. My eyelid in there. My eyelids are very... As I've gotten older, I have an extra crease in my eyebrow now, in my eyelid. How sad is that? All right, and then looking at my eyebrows, remember, just draw the general shape of it first. And then we'll add more detail to it later. I'll thicken it up eventually. You know, the details of actually drawing my face and making it look more like me will happen. I'm not too worried. Like, I'm not going to rush this. I just have kind of like a layout of where those brows will go. I will make this look more realistic later on. But I can tell you that my eyebrows are arched. And that, you know, I do maintain them a little, so they're going to be a little bit more shapely because I do shape them myself. And then I do know I have dark circles, so eventually when I start drawing and shading, I'm going to include those circles right into my eyes as well. All right. From here, from having my eyes laid out, eyelashes, iris, all of that will come later. I am mapping out my face. The next piece is getting that nose. And that nose sits somewhere in between the middle right here. So I'm going to just put a little tagline. And I'm going to start off with the ball of my nose, so just drawing a ball. Remember, your nostrils are as wide as your eyes, the inner part of your eye. And remember, I can erase this later, so I'm not too worried. If I draw light, I'm not too worried about erasing that later. So everyone's nose is a little different. I know that my nose has a pretty predominant bump on it. Right, that's the bridge. This is kind of where a shadow occurs because of the way my nose is shaped. And then my nostrils are, my nose is arched a little higher. So I could definitely see my nostrils. Lucky me. And then the little parentheses on the side for my nose, right? And mine are long. Like, they are not so much like a perfect little C, but mine do come up pretty high. You may be thinking, oh my god, that's a huge nose. But as soon as I shade this, it'll look pretty realistic. All right, that Cupid's bow area, mine's really small. And then how wide is your mouth? You guys remember the mouth is as wide from the center of the eyes. Now what's gonna really help this look like me is when I start to put in the shape of my jawline, right? Like that's really gonna help it look like me. And eventually getting my hair and my eyes down will it'll make it really start to look like me a lot more. I do not have the biggest lips, so my lips will be nice and tiny. But they still do come out all the way to this part of my eye. I feel like I need to bring this up a little bit more. All right. As I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I'm checking my the lines of my face by holding my pencil up to my face, and I'll pan over really quick. So what I do is as I'm looking at myself, I use my pencil and I kind of find different angles, like what is the angle from the corner of my eye to the corner of my mouth? What is the angle of my lip? What is the angle of this shadow on my nose? And then I match it down to the paper. And I try to find different angles like my eyebrow, match it down. So it's like becomes an angle game of just like finding different angles and then matching it down to the paper. So that's why having that mirror in front of you as your point of reference is extremely important when creating a self-portrait. So I'm going to take this back down. And remember, right now I'm using an HB pencil. So as I use my HB pencil, I am drawing pretty lightly. I'm drawing maybe a little darker than I normally would so that I can show it on the camera. But realistically, if I was just drawing this for myself as like a professional self-portrait, I'd be using that 2H pencil. But I'm using the HB so I can have a little bit more darkness. All right, so I'll check, and I can always come back and check points. So that's the wonderful thing about these sight lines that we create. But the more work you do preliminary, like the easier it'll be. And usually a self-portrait, your first few self-portraits are very straight-faced, right? Like you're not really showing expression. You're just learning how to draw your face. So my little lips. Now that I have this kind of mapped out, time to get this chin area done. And I do have a chin area like that's very oval. I have a very oval shaped face, so I'm going to make sure I try to stay true to that. Some of you have chins that are more square jawed line. Not me. So, there's different shapes of faces, right? Heart shaped, oval, circle, like really angular. So my head is definitely a little bit more on the oval side. So now I'm going to go ahead and start erasing some of these sight lines in here. Eventually, you won't see them as I shade in all of my features. Like, they'll start to disappear more, especially if you're drawing light with like a 2H pencil as well. And if they don't erase completely, I mean, this is just a preliminary drawing, right? Like, and it's okay to have history on your page, right? So still some of those lines are visible, but not as much as they were. I remember this is like the whole head, right? Like I still have to draw in my ears. This is definitely like hair area. My pencil's broken. So now that I'm kind of adding, you see like the shape where my hair is going to go a little bit, you can start seeing that like, yeah, that my head is that wide. Definitely that wide. And then let's see. I just drew my hairline. I haven't decided how my hair is going to go, but if I even just draw my hairline in, my very natural hairline, by pulling back my hair right now. Let's get this other ear drawn. One thing I have noticed that my ears are two totally different shapes. I'm telling you, I'm like the least symmetrical person I know. Especially after I've learned to draw myself so many times, I start realizing like, oh man, like my face, not that symmetrical. Oh, my pencil's broken. Here, I'm gonna switch over to a B now. All right, so here I have a very basic floating head. Like mentioned before, I'm definitely going to add my neck, and I'm looking at the sight lines, and my neck starts pretty much on the money on the sides right here. Adding value to this is really going to shape my face, and that'll be the next video that I create, is how to add value. Here, and because I'm wearing a V-neck t-shirt, I'm going to include that in here as well. All right, so here's just a very basic head. With this, I'm going to stop record here and set up a new record for all of you. I hope this helps.